In this video, I'm going to cover 16 different tips and tricks for playing They Are Billions. These tips and tricks are mostly information about gameplay mechanics that might not be obvious to the new player. If you're looking for strategy or getting started help, economic analysis, or let's play, please check out my other videos. Tip 1. You can pause. Just hit space. When you build when paused, you can undo construction for no cost. This is great if you're looking to place a lot of tents, or if you're trying to find the best spot to maximize the return from a sawmill or other resource gathering. Tip 2. Here's a few other helpful keyboard shortcuts. A for attack, R for repair, backspace for destroy. Warning, there's no confirmation. U for undo when you're building or upgrading while paused. Also, pressing F4 toggles between normal and flat grid view, which is helpful for seeing behind mountains and for counting tiles. Holding down the Alt key displays the health of units, buildings, and infected. Tip 3. Destroying a building that is using the destroy command, which is either complete or partially under construction, only returns 50% of what you spent on that building. Tip 4. If you destroy a workshop, wood, stone, or foundry, you lose all of the technologies it researched. Anything you've already built with those techs you can keep, but you can't build anything new with the advanced tech until you build a new workshop and pay for the research a second time. Tip 5. Houses need 4 of their 12 adjacent tiles empty, or occupied by walls, towers, or Tesla towers. It needn't be a contiguous 4 tiles. If even one of those adjacent tiles is a forest, mountain, or water, then you only need 3 tiles empty. Mostly this means that you have to build in 2x chunks, like 2x5 or 2x20. It also means that you're going to have one layer up against a mountain wall. Tip 6. Warehouses, markets, and banks influence buildings that are 12 tiles or less from their edges. In the case of markets and banks, this means a big 27 by 27 square. For warehouses, it's 28 by 28. Inns and wonders have a greater range, although I don't know if that's 20 or 24 or what. To be influenced, any building must be completely within the influence zone. Any building half in and half out gains no benefit. Tip 7. 2 of the same type of building do not stack their influences. Any tent built within the influence range of 2 markets gets no extra benefit from the second market. Different types of buildings, however, can stack. That is, an inn, bank, Victorious, and a mayor can all add their extra gold production influence onto a tent. Tip 8. The food reduction value provided by a market is rounded, which means that a tent only consumes 3 food, not 3.2, and not its normal 4. A cottage consumes 6, but note that a house under the influencer market is reduced from 16 down to 13, not the 12 that you might expect. Tip 9. One quarry can mine multiple types of resources. The amount of resources it produces is half the number of tiles of that resource within its influence zone, rounded up. Distance doesn't matter here. Even if it's only adjacent to 1 gold tile, eventually such quarry will pay off. Tip 10. You can chain unit commands. Once you've told a unit to move, attack, or patrol to a different location, you can hit M, A, or P, and then shift-click a second location. The unit will move or attack towards the first point, and then once there, move on to the second point. In the case of patrol, this acts as a third node, since where the unit started is counted as a patrol waypoint. The limit is 6 waypoints. You can chain an archer to run circles around a small number of slow zombies and let other units kill them, and then once you've set up the movement chain, you can go pay attention to something else and just let the units do their thing. Counting zombies around in front of or nearby other units or a ballista is an effective tactic. Tip 11. Noise attracts zombies. The louder the noise, the more zombies get attracted and the further away from they'll come. Some zombies of the same type seem to take a bit more noise than others to wake up. In other words, one soldier won't attract every zombie within an 8-tile radius when he shoots his rifle, but as he continues to shoot, eventually more will come. Infected head towards the location of where the sound was, not the unit. So if you run the unit in one direction and then turn and run perpendicular for a ways, the infected will get lost. Rangers, snipers, and ballistas are relatively quiet. Shocking towers, executors, and soldiers are all noisy. I'm not sure about the rest. Buildings getting infected or walls or towers getting destroyed generates a lot of noise. Tip 12. As you get further and further away from the center of the map, infected get tougher and tougher. It's a factor of radius, not distance that you travel around mountains or other obstacles. In the center are walkers, slow infected that have just 35 hit points. A bit further out are runners, colonists, and executives. At the edges are special infected with a high concentration of specials in the corners. If you're pushing in one direction and start seeing a lot of runners, be careful, you'll soon encounter special infected. Tip 13. Buildings of Doom hold a reservoir of infected inside. Each time you damage one, it'll spill out some of those units, up to 8. Keep poking and eventually the buildings will be empty and a lonely ranger will be able to completely destroy the building without being threatened. Buildings build a new stock of infected after some number of days, maybe 10 or so, I don't know exactly. VODs aren't too dangerous early in the game, but towards the end of the game they'll contain special infected in addition to a full complement of runners, executives, and other threats. Tip 14. Wood and stone towers are best used to protect your troops from harpies and venoms, or in those cases where you want a few more tiles of range. Against waves that won't have harpies or venoms, walls are just as effective as wood or stone towers, and they're cheaper to build. The added range and defense from all sides make towers an effective defense if they're used to guard a large, open, and empty area. Note that if an infected gets drawn to a building, such as a Tesla tower or fisherman's hut, they'll attack it even while taking damage from a unit in a tower. Tip 15. Wood stakes and wire fence traps cause damage while any enemy unit stands within it. It's a damage over time effect, not a one-time thing. If they're in the tile, whether moving or standing still, they're taking damage. Tip 16. Infected can attack diagonally. Walls are drawn to look like they connect diagonally, and infected won't be able to move through them until one of those wall segments goes down, but they can attack a structure that's behind but diagonally adjacent. Hopefully these tips have given you a better understanding of the game and help you to play more effectively, survive more waves, and clean up as many of the game's achievements as you can. If you found it helpful, please hit that like button or consider subscribing. Check in my econ post for a comparative examination of mini units and my getting started and surviving the first swarm post for some strategy hints.